It's not official. So that's why I'm hesitating. It's not official, but what?
Just get it done. I mean, I don't know all the smoke. Just announce it.
Well, when Schefter comes in, Schefter doesn't write a long X post, and they're finalizing the deal. We have seen this before, though. We have seen where they're finalizing a deal and something happened. A greater offer came in. Someone said something to piss somebody off. And
let's go back to New England and
Ben Johnson to the Bears is what we're referencing here. Ben Johnson to the Bears would be a monumental move in the NFL. And I know we're making a hard shift here, but cover the draft hard. We're getting ready to get into the NFL draft. The Bears have the 10th pick overall. Massive disappointment from the number 1 overall pick this year. Ben Johnson is closing in on this deal, and he held out. He could have been a head coach this past year. He held out to find the right spot at the right time. What does this mean? Does it mean is Poles going to stay there? Ryan Poles, a general manager. What's he requiring as the head coach to become the next head coach of the Bears? Let me say this, though. If this occurs, while neither is a proven commodity in their role at this point, in this next role, if this is the venture, neither Caleb Williams is a proven commodity in the NFL, nor is Ben Johnson a proven commodity as a head coach. They're not. But this will be the most talented combination of head coach, offensive head coach, and quarterback in Chicago Bears history. And that goes back to 1922 when the Bears became an organization. After the Decatur Staleys, Mensch, the Decatur Staleys for a couple decades became the Chicago Bears. I'm telling you, look it up. They have never had an offensive coach and an offensive talent like this.
I love telling
at the organizational level.
You're wrong, but I don't see it. Yeah, I think you're right.
But here's the deal. Detroit had an offensive line that they built from scratch over time. This is an opposite build. You have the quarterback, and now you don't have an offensive line. The protection's got to be better. And here's the other thing, too. If you look at Detroit, I said this recently. We were just talking about this. Detroit is the toughest sons of bitches on the block. Don't want to meet them in alley. They're going to grit you to death, all that stuff. And they are, except this past game. But they had the fastest getaway cars, right? Mm-hmm. Jamison Williams, absolute burner, just takes the top off like freakish fast play speed. Their running back, out of his mind fast. Jahmyr Gibbs, just ludicrous fast. Fastest Alabama player, including some of the star wide receivers. Hit 24 in the miles per hour in practice, Nick Saban told me.
Crazy.
Right? Sam Laporta, difference maker at tight end, right? Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like all the things you want, but has speed. They don't have speed. They're slow. This team they can't protect, and they're slow. I know DeAndre Swift ran a 4.48, but it feels like it was 100 years ago. It was DeAndre Swift ran a 4.48 6 years ago coming out of Georgia and 3 teams ago. Okay. Their backup, Roshan Johnson, ran a 4.58. They're not fast at running back. Cole Kmet's the closest thing that they have for positional fast. He ran a 4.70 in the 40. Good football player. Not a burner, good football player. But behind him is Mercedes Lewis, Gerald Everett. It's like a retirement home at tight end, bud. Okay? Wide receiver DJ Moore ran a 4.42 coming out of Maryland. That was 7 years ago? I don't see him playing. I don't see him playing to that speed. He's not fast. He's just not playing fast. Maybe with a new system, but like Keenan Allen ran a 4.71 46 years ago when he came out as a rookie. 4.71. Roma Dunze ran a 4.45, but I've never viewed him as he's not a 4.45 in today's day and age as a possession receiver. You know what I mean? And it's not all about 40. I'm trying to give some context to it. This is a slow offensive football team for an offensive coach who is used to having burners. Didn't always. They were good but they plugged in Jahmyr and Jameson. So they pick at number 10 overall. they need to protect and they need weapons, and a wide receiver class is not very good. So there's just a lot of work to do here. But my goodness, I can't think of another head coach out there that could potentially. It's like watching those what's it, like home HGTV when they go and try to rent it. We got one going on down the street here. Okay. 1910, this house was built literally down the street. If I open up this door to my office and look down, I can look at it. They actually had a television. There's some television channel that's here, and they're doing it because it's like this antique New England build. I just heard the story today from the daughter of the girl was hanging out with Mia. She's basically a family friend. She's over here all the time. Apparently, they went in. They were supposed to do this huge project, one of those TV things. We're going to do it in 3 months. It's going to be awesome. But we want to focus on this because we're rebuilding these old New England homes, 1910s, turn of the century. They get in and they find out that the drive or the insulation is made. You ready for this? Parchment paper, seaweed, and glass. And so they're like, whoa. So for 3 months, they halt the project, right? And electricians are in, and it's like, whatever X amount of dollars goes X times 10. But typically in these shows, they come in and it feels like a month later, they've rebuilt it and the house is beautiful, had wonderful bones, and is beautiful, right? Well, we know that Caleb Williams has wonderful bones if we're kind of running the correlation here. But there's some wiring that's crossed, and it's never gotten addressed or dealt with or fixed. And I can't think of a better coach to come in and try to fix all of that. He did not have in his rookie year any leadership that he could trust, and that we're and I've heard him talking, and he's kind of taking cuts at his old coaching staff, but first of all, we need clock management, and we could have won some games. Yeah, I get that, but you need more than that, Caleb. You need someone who has a plan offensively, who can creatively design, but can actually get your ass to fit inside what we're doing, because it's going to work. So it's going to be a give and take. And when we spend all this time on players and evaluate them and get to know them and hear all the shit that's been talked about them, their fingernails and crying with mom and all that, you start to pull for guys. And he's a different cat. I don't care. I don't care what you do, who you are, what you believe in. I don't care the color of your skin. I don't care your sexuality. I don't care about anything. You play this game that we all love. You're committed to it, and you play your ass off, and you play to the point where you're broken down enough that you're going to go in the stands and take all the heat and cry for a moment because you care that much, right? So we want the best for these guys, and Caleb needs a true rebuild, and I think Ben Johnson's the guy to do the fixer up, right? I really do. So I hope they get this done. I don't know. Those are my thoughts.
I have my doubts.
Ooh.
You have a first-time head coach who's got to figure out all the other stuff that goes along with this. You've got a generational talent at quarterback who's now competing with seeing what Jaden Daniels is doing and wants to be doing the same things, and is probably wondering why he's not right now. The amount of pressure there. And oh, by the way, you got to play Green Bay twice a year. You got to play Minnesota twice a year, and you got to play your old team, Detroit, twice a year. I'm not saying I love all the stuff that you're saying, and it's exciting to think about that offensive mind with that talent. That marriage seems real exciting on paper. How does he manage all of the other stuff in his first run as a head coach in the NFL? That's going to be tough to see. Where is Caleb Williams in terms of his headspace right now? And can you get him to buy into everything you're doing? And is there any aspect of this where he says, and I don't know, but a young player might say, look, I'm not Jared Goff. I don't need you to manage me like you managed Jared Goff. There's some things here that I'm a little hesitant about. And we've been waiting on him to become a head coach, Ben Johnson, to become a head coach for so long now that it's just been this thing where he's kind of the guy who's going to be ordained to be the next great head coach. And maybe he is. I hope he is. I don't want anyone to fail. I certainly hope that everything goes well. But it just seems to me that, you look at what's happened with, again, we'll just, the easiest comparison is Jaden Daniels. You have Dan Quinn, who's in his second run at this. He's a defensive guy. He's a manager of the team. He understands how to be a CEO, for lack of a better way of saying it. Whereas you have a guy that you're bringing in to call plays and foster your quarterback, while also being the head coach, which you can do. Andy Reid has done that for years. But I also think it's very difficult and it takes some time to find your footing. And you're in a real tough division.
Yeah, but I mean, okay. I don't disagree totally. And what is it, the Peter principle? Like sometimes you're best staying, like what ultimately stay in your lane. It's late. I might have it all wrong, but I think that's right. Like stay in your lane ultimately. Let's just call it that. But he's the most coveted guy out there for a reason. His success is undeniable. Okay. He's had time, and I'm glad that he took another year. He's had his eye on this while still coordinating his ass off. And you can see by all the plays and the creativity and the success and the efficiency and everything, still doing his job at the highest of levels. But he's been building this plan, and it's been a very poorly kept secret. Like he's been building this plan. So when the right opportunity, and it was not a well kept secret that he wanted the Chicago job a year ago. Right.
Right.
So I hear you, and I don't disagree, man.
Think about Kingsbury in Arizona, man.
But Kingsbury was the college guy coming up, and
I know.
But I also in that breath I think like, well, okay, well, what about McVay? What about Shanahan? What about like they had to start somewhere, like you said, like Andy, but that was a long time ago. But I'm saying like we're seeing more and more of these guys. Like it's not a great example now because this year, but like Mike McDaniel and McDaniels and Mike McDaniel, Josh McDaniels. I always do that.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, I just lose my whole feed here. But
no, you're good. You're good.
All right, I clicked it on my screen. There we go. Hey, but my greater point is this. But who else? Who like if I'm telling you, okay, it mentions now your job. You're the owner. Forget the GM. You're the owner of the Bears. And I get it. Maybe it's not fixable. Maybe we're too far down the road. Maybe. I've invested in an unbelievably talented quarterback with the number 1 overall pick. And I've got to build it. I've got this house down the street. I can't afford to go buy another house. It is my only purpose. It's the only thing I can do is to rebuild this house. And I have an opportunity, right? This TV show's coming in and they're telling me that we can build this thing and they're going to help me fund it, like however it works, right? But it's the only chance I got. So what else? What other direction do you want?
I don't. I mean, both of those things I think could be true. I think it could be true that he's their best option. But I think it'd also be true.
But you're just skeptical that it's going to happen. That he's going to.
I honestly think skeptical is maybe too harsh. I think he's a great candidate. I think he's a great mind, and I think Caleb Williams is a great talent. I think all of those things are true. I don't think 1 + 1 + 1 is always 3 in the NFL. It looks so good on paper. I hear what you're saying. It looks so good, right? I mean, this is the guy that's waited a year to come out. Everyone's thinking that he's ready to go.
No, I hear you. And you know what? It doesn't necessarily make sense and play to sensibilities. But sometimes when it's like, oh, this is a perfect coordinator.
It's too good to be true almost.
Yeah, I hear you.
And look where you are. Chicago hasn't really been working out there for a little while now. I mean, it just hasn't since, that great run in the 80s. What have they really done? I mean, I think they had a Rex Grossman Super Bowl against Peyton Manning and the Colts. I think. I mean, this is not a storied organization in the last 2 decades, 3 decades.
3. All right, and on a positive note, after the national championship, man,
Mr. Downer, just a downer.
That's why we love you, Skeptical Steve.